Femi Oshin. Sometimes ago, we did a video where we looked at lockdown in Africa, and we specifically looked at the possibilities of Africa not doing copy and paste of solutions profiled in the Western world, and how Africa may need to look at peculiarity of the situations in Africa, looking at our own infrastructural facilities, looking at our own psychosocial cultural environment, looking at our sectors, our countries, our demographics. Before we do it, as we speak, then we said, are there no chances that we are overreacting and copying systems that are only perfectly adaptable to Western world? Now, while we are revisiting the issue, was a World Bank report came out which says the World Bank Group has applauded Tanzanian unique approaches to contain the COVID-19 pandemic, and also cautioned African states to desist from copying Western practices and policies to curb the spread of COVID-19. I will read further. And they say they thank the President John Magufuli for not duplicating policies implemented in advanced countries and some middle income countries as pasted by some African countries in the region. I read the report further. The Africa's Pulse report titled Assessing the Economic Impact of COVID-19 and Policy Responses in Sub-Saharan Africa, released yesterday, has commended Tanzania as one of the best examples for its strategic approaches that consider the best of its political economy and well-being of the society. Tanzania considered the best of its political economy and the well-being of its society in COVID-19, with COVID-19 confirmed, with 32 COVID-19 confirmed cases, 3 deaths and 5 recoveries in Tanzania. Unlike other African countries, has not locked down. Tanzania has 32 cases, 3 deaths, 5 recoveries, and yet they have not locked down businesses and their citizens. The country has also not locked down its borders, but initiated strict testings and 14 days quarantine to all arrivals. I read further. The World Bank report warns catastrophic consequences to sub-Saharan African countries that have copied and pasted anti-COVID-19 policies from Western world. And this is a quotation. Facing a fast-changing situation with great uncertainty and so many unknowns, most governments around the world have resumed to similar approaches to contain the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, most countries around the world now, they are now trying to look inward so that they can be able to contain it. The report mentions South Africa, Ghana, Rwanda, and Kenya, who have reacted quickly and decisively to curb the potential influx and spread of the COVID-19 virus, very much in line with emerging international experience. The report warns that these countries, that as the situation evolves, there are more questions about suitability and likely effectiveness of some of these policies, such as strict confinement. The report is saying it is good that some African countries like South Africa, Ghana, Rwanda, Kenya, they proactively approach the matter. But we are looking at suitability and effectiveness of what they have done. It advises African governments to deploy a series of emergency measures and structural features of African economies that shape the policy responses that are designed and implemented to fend off COVID-19. The World Bank has given multiple reasons why economic policies implemented in sub-Saharan Africa should be different from those adopted in advanced countries and some middle-income countries. Now, these are some of the reasons they put. They said, first, informal employment is the main source of employment in sub-Saharan Africa, accounting for 89.2% of all employment according to International Labour Organization report of 2018. Excluding agriculture, informal employment account for 76.8% of total employment respectively. Now I'm going to leave the report at that. Now when you have 89.2% of economic settle informal settlement, almost 90%, and you shut it down, copying countries that have good infrastructural facilities, better health systems, they have better money. We said it that we need to rethink this thing we are doing in Africa. Now, some of the things we may add to it is there is something called African knowledge systems. I think since the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic, there is something that I was looking at. I said, Africa has proven to us that they don't believe in African knowledge system, because every other approach that they have used, nobody has said, but when we live our normal life, we use African knowledge systems. Like in a place like Nigeria, people use a lot of herbs, they use a lot of concoctions to treat some things. So the government did not even look that side. So technically the government is saying they don't believe in it. Now, another report says that over 80% of Africans use some of this traditional system in their normal daily life. So why our government is not exploring African knowledge system, African medicine system, engaging those who are practicing it? Why have they not set up like research centers for African knowledge system where people can be saying what can we do about it, so that they can exploit? Because it will be highly hypocritical as Africans. COVID-19 came, we employed systems that are foreign to treat ourselves. After it leaves, we live our normal lives. Then, other than that, I would close with this. Even in nations where lockdown have been declared, some nations do not need national lockdown. Some may need to do sectional or provincial lockdown. Some provinces or states may do businesses, contain it, but they may not allow interstate or interprovincial movement. Then also specifically in South Africa, I've been raising a few concerns. I said, when you go to some stores that are selling groceries, they also sell food that you can eat, cooked food. Now, why do you allow some of these stores to sell cooked food, yet you close some shops? Some businesses are dying, some are existing. It doesn't make any sense to me. You can go to some stores and buy cooked food, yet some businesses are closed. Second one, is it practically impossible for some restaurant to open and they only do takeaway, they only do delivery, drive-through or takeaway? You go to the drive-through window, you buy what you want to buy, and you move. And some of these people within their restaurant, they can do social distancing, wear masks, wear gloves. And all these businesses we are talking about, apart from the fact that some people cannot be able to buy, some of those businesses may not survive post-lockdown. I'll give you another example in South Africa. If my roof is leaking, there is no way I'm going to be able to buy anything to fix it. If my door breaks, I'm not going to be able to do anything to fix it. There are some things that would happen in your home now for 1 month. You will not be able to fix it. So what are we looking at? Why can't we look at situations where in some shops, they must not allow you in if you're not wearing a mask? And you can even say we must wear gloves. So that two things will happen. If I need anything urgently, I can go to some stores and buy some things and leave. And the people in the store, even if they don't bring all their staff, they can bring maybe a percentage of their staff to run some of those businesses. Also, my gardener should be able to come into my house if he's going to wear a mask and maybe wear gloves and do his gardening. It's going to happen in two ways. There are so many, as we speak, and crime has escalated in Nigeria, Lagos and Ogun, high level of crime, because people are I was sharing with somebody this morning. Some of these people who do informal businesses, they live from day to day. Some of them are even rolling over debts. They borrow money daily. If they don't eat one day, it would affect them. So we must be careful so that we don't use elitist system. We must not consider big businesses alone. We must think of how is it going to affect. My wife was speaking to me and said she wants to do something to her locks, to her hair, and said, hey, hope I'm not going to be violating lockdown if I have to ask somebody to come and do home service. And I was thinking, some people should be able to do some things. If somebody wants to come and do something from you, let the person sanitize, let the person use mask or do a few things. And in South Africa, we started lockdown March 26, we are going to, it was supposed to finish April 16. Can we use wisdom and just do a bit of relaxation and reanalyze the essential services? And because it may work. Because what we are underplaying, what we are undermining in Africa is the economic consequences of post-lockdown. So that it doesn't hit us harder than we expect. That is what we are looking at. And I'm going to say this. Also, on a lighter note, I was wondering, government, you believe in churches, you believe in mosque, you believe in all those things. It's either government doesn't believe in those things. Government should, I don't think it is practically wrong, especially we lying to ourselves to say, okay, let's take the spiritual leaders in the country, put them in a place, let them do social distancing, let them pray. Oh, we don't believe in prayer. Maybe we are deceiving ourselves. We should be able. There are times when a crisis hits a nation, a continent, you cannot undermine the role of God. You cannot undermine the role of spiritual leaders. These spiritual leaders, they control a lot of things. Why are they not involved in a way? Or we are thinking, okay, this thing is just a scientific problem. I hear you. Many people say that. But also, as much as scientific, let's learn that when there is a crisis, especially the one that is beyond the control of humanity, let government practically engage spiritual leaders in the country. Let them tell them, ask them, what is God saying? What is the mind of God? What is the spiritual solution? Do not undermine that. Do not say, because when a crisis of this magnitude happens, you explore every angle. Then on my final light note, I'm going to say the government must do this. They must call all pastors, especially those pastors who have laid claim to healing powers. You know, when pastors want to do program, they say, hey, 7 days of healing. They must go and do research and gather all of them and take them to where there are coronavirus patients so that they can lay hands, because I know these pastors are powerful, so that they can lay hands on them and pray for them. That is on a lighter. Thank you very much.